Designcast Podcast, the podcast for design and STEAM educators.
Hello and welcome to Designcast, a podcast where I interview a wide range of excellent guests in design and STEAM education to get their unique perspectives. My name is Jason Reagan, and I use my 20 plus years of experience as a design educator to dig deep into complex issues. This podcast has one simple mission: to create a community of people around the world that are interested in design and STEAM education. Each episode, I chat with guests from all corners of the design world, from classroom teachers to authors and even to educational consultants. We discuss a wide range of topics that we feel are relevant today. I do want to ask you that if you're enjoying this podcast, please leave a review, rate, subscribe, share, or download from your favorite podcasting app. This helps the podcast get discovered by listeners that might not find it otherwise. Also, it helps me to continually define the direction of future guests and episodes. Feel free to drop by my website, www.jasonreagan.ga, to leave me a comment or to sign up to be considered as a future guest on future episodes. Also, don't forget to stop by Anchor and leave me a voice clip that could even end up in an upcoming show. Thanks for listening, so let's get to it.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com. Now let's get on to the episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Designcast, and it's such a pleasure and an honor to have back my very first guest, Jesse Donnelly. Jesse, how are you this morning?
I'm good, thanks, Jason. It's good to be back on the airwaves with you again.
On the airwaves. Well, we were just talking. It's only been 72 episodes since I talked to you last, and so a lot has happened in almost 5 years.
That's right. I think that first recording was the only ever recording that ever took place in Dragon Radio.
Yeah, that's right, man. It was the only one we ever did. I'm sure the very next year the whole booth was disappeared, but
it was turned into a robotic studio.
Yes, how funny is that? So, Jesse, if you don't mind, can you tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what your role is at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Australia and spent the last 10 years in China teaching MYP design, also thrown in a few MYP PE and INS and language for good measure at some schools. My school in China, I actually took over as head of the design department after you, Jason, when you left, and then was the MYP coordinator there for a couple of years before this summer we've moved from the Middle Kingdom to the Kingdom of Wonder in Cambodia. The nice change of lifestyle, which is good, and just getting ready for the kids to come back to school tomorrow online.
I know we're all excited about that. It's not been a great year. So
Yeah.
Tell me, how was the move from China to Cambodia? What has that been like?
Yeah, it was I thought it went pretty smooth, really. It's not, most people probably, it's not the best thing to move in the middle of a pandemic. You know, I'm always one for a bit of a challenge. Don't like to go along in cruise control. But no, the move was good. We were able to ship all the stuff quite easily, our furniture and stuff, which actually just arrived in Cambodia yesterday, which is good. But we had some great help from the Cambodian consulate in Shanghai. And amidst all the Delta waves going around, we were able to get out on our flight, which turned out to be the last flight to Cambodia from China for about 6 or 7 weeks, because they've shut it down because cases were rising a little bit here. So it's good to get here. We have got a curfew here at the moment. Had that for a couple of weeks. Sort of, you need to be at home from 9 o'clock till 3 a.m. And
so much good stuff happens after 3, right?
That's right. That's right. You go home, you have your dinner, you have a rest, and then you head out to the nightclubs about 3. So
that's funny.
But they've got a ban on alcohol sales and everything, and most restaurants are just only takeaway them. So it's a little bit of a bummer. Hopefully it finishes next Thursday, because in that time the case numbers have dropped significantly. Which is good.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. You don't hear that much right now.
No,
it's great.
And I think that's one thing that I really like about here. Everyone is extremely compliant. If people are told you have to wear a mask out in public, everyone just does it.
Yeah,
there's no questions. Like even little kids, everyone does it. It's just the norm now, and I think that's really helped.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think when people realize that this is not a selfish or individual problem, this is a group collective problem that we all have to do our part, then I think things will probably turn around. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. So
exactly.
So Jesse, again, thanks for chatting with me. And so, so you've moved to a school in Cambodia, and I know a little bit about the situation that you're there. So what do you find facilities wise you're going to be able to accomplish once you guys are back on campus?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. They've got some like the concept plans for a big a big art design building that they're hoping they'll start building in September. It's been a little bit delayed, obviously, because of COVID. But once they get the sign off to that, and that'll be great to have some, big sort of industrial design rooms and really set them up exactly how we want. It's kind of like building a house. You build your dream house, but you never get it right the first time, and it takes about 3 or 4 houses that you build before you actually get it right. It's like picking up a dog from the rescue center. You bring it back, you got to give it a little bit of love and rehabilitate it and bring it back to life a bit. So it's a couple of classrooms that I think product design hasn't been, it's been there, but it hasn't sort of been opened up to the kids as much as it could be. So what I sort of, there was lots of signs and stuff about no teacher, no entry, and teacher use only and everything. So sort of taken all that down, opened it up a bit, but it's sort of got the bare bones at the moment. So it'll just be something to continue to build on and add to over the year. And obviously then if the new building gets knocked back, then we sort of reevaluate and see, okay, well, how can we change this around and make it work? So
hey, do you guys have diploma design tech where you are?
It's an interesting situation at the school where this is the first year where design is sort of being given its own identity. It's just sort of been a part of the arts department at the school. So we've got, I guess, we've got a bit of limited time on the timetable. We've just got the 2 hours a week, sort of half as much as every other subject. But at least all students do it across the 5 years, which is good. So they have a full year of design.
Great.
We're not up against other electives for kids to do extra stuff like languages or whatever, as has been the case in the past. So I guess my challenge, I guess, over the next sort of 12 months is to just sort of establish a bit of a foothold for design. So I'm the only full-time design teacher, and then there's 2 other teachers. So Mel, obviously, doing art and design, and then Jack, and he's sort of doing makerspace, and he's got 1 class of science, and then a few design as well. Build the profile of design. We've got the verbal approval to offer DT, and it should be good. We've got 96 grade 10s, I think. Yeah, so it's a good chance to be able to get it, and especially now where you've got a lot more universities and colleges around the world that are recognizing DT as a science. Kids tend to be more willing to give it a go. In the past, they've been a bit put off because they need a science to get into their university. So they've always sort of gone more the traditional physics, chemistry. That'll be good. And, it's like anything. It's had a few hiccups along the way. It's had a bit of turnover in the department over the last few years, I've been told. So just to bring a little bit of stability and
Ability. Man, you're the guy to do it.
so we've just sort of restructured the way we deliver it rather than have lots of little units across the year for MYP. We've just sort of stripped it back, gone back to semester long units just to take the focus away from having to smash through things for assessment to allow that opportunity to really explore and revisit the strand. So use it as a design cycle, not as a design line. And definitely there's not the level of stuff that we had in Suzhou, but it's definitely, it's enough of sort of a little blank canvas to be able to really to build it up. And it's a nice big space, which is good.
I've never found a facility quite like the one we had in Suzhou. So, I mean, I found places that have bits of that, but that was probably the most well-balanced facility I've worked in. I don't know about you, but that one was definitely a great facility. And so they should be, I hope they're taken care of. But and you guys continued to do some great work after I left. So I know that it was in great hands with you guys.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing that I think about design, and particularly product design, is if you've got all the things there, like get it out on display for the kids to see. If they can see it, they'll want to ask questions about how they use it and what it does. If things are just in cupboards or boxes and stuff and they don't see it, then they'll never know it's there, so they won't ask. So I think, it's good for, if you look, the people in the front office, the marketing and mission, they like to see it when everything's out, because it makes for good viewing for potential customers.
Yeah, of course.
But it's just, you have a lot more fun with it and play around.
A few weeks ago, I was talking to Jovial, and she was saying that she feels she got that job at Suzhou specifically because she knew how to use the laser cutter. If they kept asking her questions. And so, things like that, I mean, now they're pretty commonplace, but at the time, that was a really innovative thing to have in a school that's pretty dangerous and powerful. It was something. So now, do you guys have kitchens and stuff, or are you thinking about having that, or what's the plan there?
No, we don't have kitchens at the moment. Obviously, so with this new building, the design of it, basically it's the shell, right? Then inside we can design it how we want. So I think there could be some potential maybe to put in not as big as those kitchens in Suzhou, but maybe something a bit small to start, and then also to incorporate it into maybe a bit of hospitality that could run into if the school was to then look at CP in the future, have some hospitality options there where that kitchen can do catering stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. I mean, the CP's taken off, especially in Asia, so it'd be good to have that kind of vision in mind. And design's a great pathway to lead to that. So that's great that you've got sort of that vision in mind. So Jesse, let me shift gears just a little bit and ask you, I know you and David McMahon have a podcast. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, the old Learning Factory. Yeah, so I guess we when we started that, we were, the idea behind it was more just to put things in common everyday talk, and whether it's sort of aimed at either design teachers new to MYP or MYP teachers new to design, because let's face it, most people sort of end up in design. It's maybe not their teaching method, and just different ways to interpret the strands and make it fun and bring the design and practicality back into design. It's not a written subject. It shouldn't be a subject where kids sit and write all the time. So we have a bit of fun with that. We try and pick a topic or something and focus. We get some guests in, get different people around the school, their perspective of design, or also other subject areas, maybe talk about some of the similar issues that they have in that subject, mainly the practical ones. So we've talked about performing arts and PE. So it's just a bit of fun, lighthearted. I wouldn't be someone that, if you're someone that wants to then go and fact check everything we say, I'll save you the time now. It won't pass anything, so don't worry about that. I guess it's probably not the sort of podcast that you'd use as a resource and play to your kids to help them understand the MYP design cycle, because I guess we usually have have a beer or something while we're recording it. It's like two mates having a chat in a pub, as one person described it to me.
It's got good stuff though, man. So don't sell yourself short. I think there's a lot of things that you can use there that's really, really good and important. And I think too, it humanizes what we do a little bit more, because it can be quite clinical when you're looking at these sort of compliance-based sort of mindsets. So I think it's good to have a human side to things. So you guys keep it up, man. It's been good.
Yeah. We get our one of the design teachers that worked with us at the school last year. He would regularly send us voice messages critiquing out, the episode and telling us what he liked about it and everything. And we're like, just put the comments on Twitter. We need to get a bite.
Go on to Apple Podcasts and leave it, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, man. Oh, man, that's great.
But I think just people, we have picked up a few people that listen to it that aren't design teachers, like they're teachers but not design teachers. So giving particularly some primary and early years teachers, they're like, it's got some good ideas in it for ways to do things, and so that's good.
That's awesome, man. Well, keep it up. It's fun. I know it's a labor of love. I know it's unappreciated effort sometimes that people have to put into these things. So appreciate you guys continuing to put that on and having such a great attitude about it. So yeah, that's awesome. That's fun. So Jesse, let me ask you this. What do you see happening at your school in 5 or 10 years, especially design wise?
It'll be a mainstay on the timetable. I guess I'd like it to be where it was up on par with other subjects. That'd be good. A consistent cohort going through in DP and just being a bit of a not a flagship, but I guess kind of like we were for a while there in Suzhou, where you're a school that is known as having a really good design program, and people wanting to come to the school and work there because of the program that's been established. That would be good. Yeah, but who knows, Jason, 10 years time, I might be just kicking back in a front office pretending to do important stuff in administration or something.
What's new? That's what I saw you doing anyway, Jesse. Come on. Oh, that's funny, man. That's awesome. Yeah, man. So
but no, it's good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to once the borders open up, getting back and into the IBAN stuff, just to keep those networks open with people, whether it's for teachers to come to the school or just getting fresh ideas. I think that's what the other good thing about changing schools has been, is just seeing some different ideas and thinking about, okay, well, this is the way we did it in this unit back at the last school, but I'd never really thought about it that way. And you start to, I guess that's how a good program evolves. I'm not one of those people that are like, nah, this is the unit I created. This is the way we've always done it. This is the way we always will do it.
Not that we've ever worked with someone like that. So Jesse, quick question. If you had to recommend a book for anyone to stop right now and read, what would it be?
Oh, it's a good question. A book to stop right now and read. I must say, I'm in the middle of reading Boy Swallows Universe at the moment. And that's really good, that book. Nothing to do with design, just a good read.
Okay. Fantastic, man. Well, I have a good read bookshelf, and I always put these on there. So go ahead. You got another one?
Yeah. And I guess one of my all-time favorites, which it was actually the first book I ever read as a 12-year-old, the Barrytown trilogy by Roddy Doyle, which is like the commitments, the van, the snapper and the van. The language in it's probably not appropriate for a 12-year-old, but so he's definitely an author that I've really enjoyed reading his stuff ever since then.
Well, I'm hearing you talk about this, and so much of what I know about you is now making sense. And so I appreciate you doing that. So
that's it.
That's it. Totally. So Jesse, listen, I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me today. If people want to get in touch with you or check out your podcast or whatever, what's the best way to do that?
You can do it on all through. I've got my secretary, David. He's in charge of social media. So we're on all your podcast.
He also does all the editing and production for the podcast. So what is it that you do?
Unbelievable wit, humor, and knowledge is what I bring to the podcast.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. You're the content heavy. I got you. Okay.
That's it.
So, oh, that's funny.
Dave had the time to do all that because he was on remote learning all last year, whereas we were face to face. So maybe I might start to,
help. Well, he has to fight off all those monkeys in his yard too, so that's a big part of it.
That's right. So any of your podcast delicatessens, you can get us, The Learning Factory, and also TLF_tweets on Twitter, and we're also on Instagram.
Okay, great. And people can get in touch with you if they want to do that, if they go through those areas?
Yep. So get on, as they say in the industry, Jason, like, subscribe, and share. So, yeah, they can get in. So we definitely, like, for questions and comments and, you know, even episode ideas, jump on Twitter and put something in there. But otherwise, yeah.
Awesome. That's
However,
great, Jesse.
just look at the sky and scream out your frustrations, and we might hear you.
I can promise that you will hear you. I just don't know if it'll get a response. So, let's you do it again, right? Listen, Jesse, I appreciate it. I think people should check out your podcast. It's really fun, lighthearted, wonderful, colorful adjectives used throughout the episodes. So we appreciate that. And, it's fun. So appreciate you guys doing that. It's really good. So your experience comes through though. So I appreciate that. So, well, listen, Jesse, it's been great to catch up. We could talk all day. I know you've got family waking up and whatnot. I can hear birds and stuff in the background, or unless that's Mel, I'm not sure.
Yes, the city's coming to life.
That's awesome, dude. So listen, you guys, I wish you the best of luck for the year, and I really appreciate you catching up with me, man. Thank you.
And talk soon.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of Designcast. I'm Jason, your host, and I produced and created this podcast. If you have any input, I would love to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you again really soon. I am so excited to announce the launch of a new podcast network called DNA Podcast Network. The Design Network Alliance, or DNA, was founded by Ivo Hanan and myself as a result of Designcast number 16. We talked all about the need to connect design educators globally. DNA is a collective group of like-minded design educators from around the world. We have one simple mission: to connect design and STEAM educators with each other and with designers that want to make a difference in design education to make it better for future generations. The DNA Podcast Network is a hub for podcasts that cover the topics around design and technology, design thinking, STEAM, and STEM education. If you are interested in hearing more great content, head over to www.dnapodcastnetwork.ga today. Click on the thumbnail of the podcast that you want to hear and enjoy. If you have any other podcasts that you enjoy that cover similar topics, please feel free to get in touch with me and let me know so that I can look at adding them to the network. Finally, spread the word. Share with your network and your PLN and use the hashtag DNA Podcast Network. Jason here from Designcast, and I am just so pleased that you're here listening to Designcast. I really appreciate all the feedback everyone's been giving me. It's been so fantastic to hear it, and it just really inspires me to continue going. Of course, making this week on week is difficult. If you feel so inclined, of course, there is no pressure. I would love it if you would take part in helping to support this podcast. And so I'm using a website called Buy Me a Coffee, and there are a couple different ways you can give. One is you can give a one-time gift, and then also there are monthly gifts that you can give. And by doing that, you will receive some services from me. Number one, you'll be part of Designcast support family. Also, there are different levels within that. So head on over to buymeacoffee.com/designcast, and you can find out more about the different ways you can support me.